In a world filled with endless books, courses, and gurus promising the secret to wealth, there's one book that quietly laid the foundation for them all more than a century ago. It's called The Science of Getting Rich, written by Wallace D. Wattles in 1910. And despite its age, this book contains one of the clearest, most practical explanations of how to build wealth, not through tricks or gimmicks, but through principles that align with the very laws of the universe. Wattles didn't write for philosophers. He wrote for people like you, those who want more out of life, who believe that getting rich is not about luck or background or privilege, but about learning how wealth actually works. His message is simple. Getting rich is not a matter of environment or talent. It's a science. Just like gravity or mathematics, it works for anyone who learns the formula and applies it with intention and persistence. That formula has 3 parts. Think clearly, act purposefully, trust the process. Everything else is built on top of that foundation. Wattles argues that wealth is not something to feel guilty about. It's not unspiritual. In fact, it's your duty. Because when you are rich, not just in money, but in capacity, you can do more, give more, and live more fully. Poverty limits your options. Wealth expands them. And he doesn't mean wealth in the abstract. He's talking about money, real, usable, spendable income, enough to buy what you want, live where you want, and support causes you care about. But the path to that wealth isn't through grinding harder or chasing shiny objects. It's through learning to live and work in a certain way. That phrase, a certain way, shows up again and again throughout the book. And in this audiobook, we're going to break it down, step by step, so you can internalize the mindset, apply the action, and start building your own wealth on purpose. Here's the good news. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to change how you think and how you move through the world. Wattles doesn't ask you to hustle harder. He asks you to think creatively, act efficiently, and expect abundance. This isn't just positive thinking, it's practical metaphysics, a way of thinking that influences reality because it aligns with the underlying structure of how things are created. You'll hear ideas in this summary that echo what you've heard from modern voices, people like Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor, Rhonda Byrne, and even Tony Robbins. That's because all of them studied this book. The Science of Getting Rich is where it began. But this isn't a history lesson, this is a call to action. So as you listen, stay open. Let go of old stories that say you're not ready, not capable, or not worthy. Wealth is not about having more, it's about becoming more. This audiobook will walk you through the timeless lessons that have helped millions shape their financial destiny. And it all begins with the powerful idea that getting rich is a science, and you can learn it. Let's begin with Lesson 1. Getting rich is a science, not a secret. Most people believe that getting rich is a mix of luck, talent, timing, or privilege. But Wallace Wattles disagreed deeply. He said, "Getting rich is not about chance. It's not about who you know or what you inherited. It's about doing things in a certain way, a way that aligns with the laws of the universe, just like gravity or electricity. And once you understand this way and follow it with faith and focus, wealth becomes inevitable." That's a bold claim. But Wattles stood by it. Because he wasn't guessing, he was observing. He saw people from all walks of life rise to wealth, even with limited education, humble beginnings, or no connections. And he noticed that they shared something in common, a pattern, a way of being, a method. He called it a science. Think of science this way. If you do A, B, and C, you get D. It doesn't matter who you are. The results come because the process works. And Wattles believed the same was true with money. He explained that getting rich is governed by cause and effect. Just like heat causes water to boil, certain thoughts and actions carried out in a consistent and focused way lead to riches. Not always overnight, but always over time. This flies in the face of how most people think. We're taught to believe that riches come from working harder, finding the right job, or making the perfect investment. But Wattles says that while action matters, the way you act matters far more. Here's his central message: there is a science of getting rich, and it is an exact science like algebra or arithmetic. Let that sink in. That means you don't need to gamble, hustle endlessly, or wait your turn. You need to learn the principles and then live them. So what are those principles? They begin with thought. Everything starts with a clear, focused thought held in the mind consistently. But thought alone isn't enough. You must pair it with purpose, a deep inner clarity about why you want to be rich. Do you want freedom? Do you want to contribute more? Do you want to create, express, and serve on a bigger scale? Wattles isn't interested in vague desires. He asks you to get specific, because the more clearly you define what rich means to you, the more precisely your actions and energy can align with it. Next comes faith, a word Wattles uses again and again, but he's not talking about blind hope. He means a confident expectation, a knowing that if you follow the principles, the result must follow. If you plant a seed, water it, give it sunlight, and protect it, you expect it to grow. That's faith in natural law. And Wattles says, wealth works the same way. Follow the process. Expect the result. Don't get emotional about the timing, but this leads to a vital distinction. Faith is not passivity. Getting rich is not about wishing. It's not about sitting on your couch and visualizing checks arriving in the mail. It's about taking purposeful action, guided by a clear thought and supported by a disciplined belief that what you desire is already yours in essence, and on its way in form. He writes, "By thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it." This balance of inner belief and outer work is where the science lives. And one more thing, you don't need to compete. In Wattles's view, the universe is not a pie that runs out of slices. Wealth is not taken from others. It's created. You don't have to steal, outmaneuver, or beg. You don't have to manipulate or cut corners. You don't even need to be aggressive. You just need to create value by living and acting in alignment with universal law. And this is where Wattles is revolutionary. He says, stop chasing, stop stressing, stop thinking you need to be someone else. Start thinking clearly, start acting efficiently, start trusting that the universe responds to order, not chaos. Riches, he says, are not reserved for the elite. They're available to anyone who follows the science. So what does that look like in practice? It starts with understanding the thinking substance of the universe, the invisible energy that responds to your thoughts, just like soil responds to a seed. We'll explore that next in Lesson 2, The Thinking Stuff, Understanding the Creative Force. Wallace D. Wattles believed in something radical for his time and still radical for many today. He believed the universe is made of a thinking substance, an invisible, intelligent energy that fills all space and responds to our thoughts. You may call it energy, or spirit, or source. Wattles called it original substance. And he believed this substance doesn't just exist passively, it creates. And it creates by being impressed with thought. He wrote, "A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought." In other words, when you think clearly and consistently about something you want, with belief, with purpose, you leave an impression on this creative energy. And this energy begins shaping reality to match that thought. It's not magic, it's not wishful thinking, it's a creative process that works the same way as a seed becoming a tree. But here's the key. The thought must be clear, consistent, and faith-filled. Wattles insists that you cannot form a lasting image one day and then doubt it the next. You cannot water the seed with vision and then poison it with fear. The creative substance doesn't respond to scattered energy. It responds to certainty. Now, this is where most people go wrong. They form a desire, but then constantly contradict it. They say, I want to be rich, but think money never sticks around. They visualize abundance, but act from fear and lack. They get inspired one morning, then spiral into doubt by afternoon. This mixed energy creates weak signals and weak results. Wattles urges us to think truth, regardless of appearances. Even when your bank account says one thing, you must hold your inner picture with unwavering faith. He compares it to a blueprint. You hold the image in your mind, and the universe responds by rearranging conditions, people, opportunities, ideas, to bring that image into form. This is not about controlling how it happens. Your job is to impress the image. The creative force handles the details. But what does this mean for you? It means your thoughts are not idle. They are causal. Every time you dwell on a fear, you're reinforcing its possibility. Every time you return to your vision with belief, you're making it more real. Wattles says the thinking substance responds to clarity plus faith plus purpose. Clarity: you must know what you want. Faith: you must trust it's on its way. Purpose: you must desire it with intention, not just to consume, but to expand and contribute. This thinking substance is in everything. It fills the air around you. It flows through every moment. It responds to every focused thought. And most importantly, it's abundant. Wattles emphasizes there is no shortage. The universe is not stingy. It doesn't withhold wealth to test you. It responds to order, not personality. To faith, not favoritism. And once you believe this, not just intellectually but deeply, you begin to think differently. You stop begging life to improve. You start forming clear images. You stop doubting your desires. You start acting as if they're already forming because they are. This is the foundation of the science of getting rich. Not hustle, not struggle, but creative thought aligned with natural law. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the fastest. You just have to think in a certain way and let the universe do what it's always done: respond. Next, we'll explore how to give your thought even more power through clarity of vision and purposeful focus. In Lesson 3, the power of clarity and purpose. Now that you understand the thinking substance and how it responds to thought, the next step is to make that thought clear, consistent, and infused with purpose. Wallace Wattles says that most people drift through life with vague desires. They want more money, a better life, or freedom, but they can't describe what that actually looks like. And so, the universe receives a fuzzy signal and gives fuzzy results. In contrast, the rich think in clear pictures. They know what they want. They hold that vision daily, and they pair it with a deep sense of purpose. Wattles writes, "You must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself." This is more than visualization. It's about creating a living image, a mental movie of your future life. You must see it, feel it, walk through it in your imagination. The more detail you add, the more real it becomes, and the stronger your signal to the universe. But clarity is only one half of the power. The other half is purpose. Why do you want to be rich? Is it to prove something? Or is it to expand, to serve, to grow, and to experience life fully? Wattles insists that purpose matters because the universe responds not just to what you want, but to why you want it. When your purpose is selfish, your energy contracts. When it's expansive, your energy flows. Here's the difference. Self-centered desire says, I want money so I can feel important. Purpose-driven desire says, I want money so I can live fully and give fully. The second one carries more creative power, because it aligns you with the natural flow of life, which is always moving toward greater expression, creation, and abundance. When you form your vision, ask yourself, what does my wealthy life really look like? Who am I becoming in that life? How do I spend my time? Who benefits when I succeed? Then hold that image like a photograph in your mind, not once a week, but every day. Not just when you're inspired, but especially when you're discouraged. The creative substance needs you to hold the image against appearances. That means you keep believing in your vision even when reality looks opposite. This is hard. It takes practice. Your senses will scream that nothing's changing, but that's where purpose comes in. Purpose keeps your focus steady. It gives you a reason to persist. Wattles writes, you must live in the new house while you're in the old one. You must mentally inhabit your future, even while your present looks unchanged. This is not delusion, it's alignment, and it creates emotional stability. When your thoughts, beliefs, and desires all point in the same direction, your actions follow. You stop questioning your next step. You stop second-guessing your decisions. You know what you're moving toward, and that knowing gives you power. People who lack purpose are easily swayed by fear, setbacks, or other people's opinions, but people with a clear vision and deep purpose, they are unstoppable. Not because they're fearless, but because their direction is strong. So ask yourself again, what do I want? Why do I want it? And am I willing to hold that image no matter what? Wattles teaches that once your thought is clear and your purpose is strong, the universe begins organizing itself to match your vision. It brings people, ideas, and opportunities you couldn't have planned, but it won't happen without action. In the next lesson, we'll explore the most overlooked truth in wealth creation, that all success happens in the present moment. We'll talk about how to act now and how to act well. In Lesson 4, Acting in the Present, the Key to Acceleration. Wallace Wattles makes this point crystal clear. You can't get rich by dreaming about the future or regretting the past. You get rich by acting right now. This might seem obvious, but most people live in mental time zones. They're either replaying what went wrong or planning what might work someday. As a result, they delay action. They wait for better timing, more motivation, perfect conditions. But Wattles warns, waiting kills momentum. It weakens the creative process. Why? Because life only responds to action taken in the present. He writes, do not wait for a change of environment before you act. Cause a change through action. You're not meant to wait for the universe to deliver everything before you begin. You're meant to move forward now with whatever you have, wherever you are. This doesn't mean rushing blindly. It means acting deliberately every day on the things you can control, no matter how small. In his words, do every day all that can be done that day. That means stop overloading your plate with 100 tasks. Choose the few things that truly matter and do them with full attention. But here's the twist. It's not just doing things. It's doing them in a certain way, with energy, with intention, and with excellence. Wattles calls this efficient action. It's the difference between checking off boxes and moving the needle, between reacting to life and consciously creating it. He says that the universe doesn't respond to busyness, It responds to purposeful motion. Even a small act, done well, done now, done with faith, has creative power. Let's say you want to build a successful business. Efficient action isn't reading 50 blogs and never starting. It's making the call, sending the email, building the product, learning from feedback, showing up every day. If you want to invest and grow wealth, it's not just fantasizing about millions. It's setting a budget, studying value, making your first move, however small. Efficient action is not frantic, it's focused. Wattles warns against both haste and laziness. Haste comes from fear, rushing to get somewhere, afraid of missing out. Laziness comes from doubt, believing that effort won't matter. Both destroy the creative flow. Instead, he urges us to act with calm determination. No panic, no delay, just steady forward movement rooted in belief. And here's what's powerful. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to take the next right step. The universe reveals the road as you walk it. Wattles writes, "Success comes not by waiting, but by acting in a certain way every day." So what does this mean practically? It means this. Stop waiting for confidence. Build it by showing up. Stop waiting for clarity. Create it by doing. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect. The perfect moment is this moment. Ask yourself each morning, what can I do today with what I have to move forward? What's the one thing I could do right now that future me will thank me for? How can I do today's work with full presence, power, and purpose? Because you don't get rich by thinking alone. You don't get rich by consuming endless content. You get rich by applying what you know repeatedly without quitting. In this model, every day matters. Every task is sacred. Every action, no matter how small, becomes a seed planted in the creative substance. Wattles believed that the man or woman who acts efficiently each day, guided by clear thought and purpose, cannot fail. They may stumble, they may fall, but the outcome is assured because they are aligned with the way the universe works. So stop asking when, start asking how can I serve today, in action with all I have. Do that, and the law will meet you more than halfway. Next, we explore a force that accelerates the process even further, a multiplier that few take seriously, but Wattles considered essential. That force is gratitude. In Lesson 5, we'll discover the role of gratitude in wealth creation. Gratitude. It's a word that's often treated like a soft suggestion. Something you do in a journal. Something you post once a year during the holidays. But for Wallace D. Wattles, gratitude isn't optional. It's essential to the science of getting rich. He believed that gratitude is not just a nice feeling, it's a force, a magnetic signal that draws more of what you want into your life. Here's how he explained it. The grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best, therefore it tends to become the best. In other words, when you're grateful, you're aligned with the creative energy of the universe. You're focused on abundance, not lack, possibility, not limitation. And that focus shapes your thoughts, which shapes your feelings, which shapes your actions, which shapes your results. It's a loop, and gratitude keeps it running. Think about it this way. When you focus on what's missing, you broadcast resistance. You tighten up. You operate from fear, doubt, or desperation, and the universe responds accordingly. But when you focus on what's working, even if it's small, you shift into receptivity. You become more aware of opportunities. You move with calm, not panic. And your energy invites more of what you want. Gratitude creates coherence. It puts you in harmony with the creative force. That's why Wattles wrote, "The more gratefully we fix our minds on the Supreme, when good things come to us, the more good things we will receive, and the more rapidly they will come." This isn't blind optimism, it's about faithful focus, choosing to give your energy to what supports your vision, not what contradicts it. Wattles also pointed out that gratitude protects your mind from slipping into competition. When you're ungrateful, it's easy to believe that others are taking your share, that the world is unfair, that you're falling behind, and that belief pulls you into a scarcity mindset. But when you're grateful, you see abundance, you trust the process, you know there's more than enough for everyone, so you stop fighting and start creating. That's the shift from lack to overflow. So how do you practice gratitude the way Wattles intended? It starts with daily discipline. Don't wait until you feel grateful. Train yourself to notice, name, and dwell on what's working. Each morning or evening, write down 3 things that support your vision. Not just random good things, but aligned things. Tiny signs that your desire is forming. A conversation, a new idea, a sense of calm. And then feel the emotion of gratitude, not just the words. Let it expand in your body. Let it soften resistance. Gratitude is not a trick. It's not pretending everything is perfect. It's choosing to return to faith, especially when appearances make it hard. That's where its power lies. When you're discouraged, be grateful anyway. When you're waiting, be grateful as if it's already done. When you succeed, don't gloat. Give thanks. This emotion keeps you close to the source, close to your vision, close to the vibration of wealth. Gratitude also builds resilience. You'll move faster because you'll stop wasting time in complaint, comparison, and fear. You'll stay energized because you'll feel supported. And you'll become magnetic to others because true gratitude is deeply attractive. Wattles believed that a grateful person is unstoppable, not because they avoid challenges, but because they move through them with calm certainty. So let this be your mantra. I am grateful now for what's already mine in spirit and for what is coming in form. Feel that. Anchor it. Live from it. And watch how fast things begin to change. In the next lesson, we bring all of this together with Wattles' most important instruction, act in the certain way. Lesson 6 is titled The Certain Way, Belief, Action, and Consistency. There's a phrase Wallace Wattles repeats throughout The Science of Getting Rich, so often that it becomes the heartbeat of the entire book. You must act in the certain way. But what exactly is this certain way? It's not a method. It's not a rigid system. It's a state of being, a way of thinking, believing, and moving through the world that aligns you with the creative power of the universe. The certain way is made up of 3 forces working together. First, belief. Second, purposeful action. 3, unshakable consistency. Let's break each one down. First, belief. Holding the invisible as real, this is the core. Without belief, nothing else works. The certain way begins with thinking truth regardless of appearances. Even when your outer world doesn't match your inner picture, you continue to believe. Even when there's no evidence, you persist in faith. Wattles says that belief is not optional. You must expect your desire to be fulfilled. You must act as if it's already yours, because from the universe's perspective, it already is. In his words, you must know that you know. This level of certainty is rare. Most people want guarantees before they believe. But Wattles reverses it. Belief is the guarantee. You move first. The universe responds. You're not faking, you're aligning. You're placing yourself in harmony with what you've already claimed mentally. and that claim begins shaping the physical world around you. 2. Purposeful action, doing each day's work fully and well. The second part of the certain way is to act, not chaotically, not anxiously, but efficiently and with purpose. Wattles says that each day brings you a unique set of opportunities. If you act fully in the moment, doing what you can as well as you can without rushing, you set forces into motion that carry you forward. He warns against two common traps: doing too little, acting half-heartedly, waiting for the right time, or procrastinating out of fear. Doing too much, overloading, scattering your energy, or working frantically from desperation. Neither of these honors the science. The certain way is about doing enough, with excellence. That means focusing on what matters most, not just staying busy. You choose the few high-leverage actions and do them with full attention and intention. You don't act to get rich. You act because you know you are becoming rich. Your action is an expression of faith, not a test of it. Wattles says, act in the present with your mind on the future and your faith rooted in the invisible. Every phone call, every idea you write down, every sale, every dollar you manage, do it with care, with clarity, and with calm power. This is the certain way in motion. 3. Unshakable consistency. Persisting without wavering. The final ingredient is consistency, perhaps the hardest part. Anyone can act with belief for a few days, but the universe responds to steadiness, not surges. That means holding the same clear picture every day. Returning to gratitude even on difficult mornings. Acting purposefully even when progress seems slow. Choosing faith over frustration when results don't come fast enough. This is where many fall short. They try the principles, they believe briefly, but then doubt creeps in. They look at the outer world, see no change, and conclude it's not working. But Wattles insists, the moment you waver, you slow the process. It's like pulling a seed from the soil every time you doubt it's growing. The certain way requires emotional discipline. It means choosing not to panic, even when tempted. It means refusing to complain, gossip, or compare. Every time you act from faith instead of fear, you accelerate your growth. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means choosing the thoughts that support your vision and letting them shape your behavior. When belief, action, and consistency come together, the universe cannot help but respond. Not because you're manipulating it, but because you're finally in harmony with how it already works. Recap. What it means to act in the certain way. Believe that what you want is already yours in substance. Act now, in the present, with clarity and excellence. Persist, holding your vision steady no matter what. If you do this, Wattles says, riches must come. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become the kind of person to whom wealth flows. You don't need to know how. That's not your job. Your job is to move, believe, and hold the picture. That's the certain way. In the next lesson, we'll explore a crucial distinction Wattles makes between creating wealth and competing for it. He says the truly rich do not fight over scraps. They create new value. Up next, Lesson 7, Riches through creation, not competition. One of Wallace Wattles' most profound teachings is this: you must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. Most people believe wealth is limited, that in order for one person to win, someone else must lose. That success is a zero-sum game, one pie, a few slices, And once it's gone, it's gone. But Wattles calls this a fatal error. He teaches that the universe is abundant, that it is constantly expanding, that wealth is not distributed, it's created. And you are a creator, not a competitor. This belief shift changes everything. When you operate from competition, your energy contracts. You're constantly comparing, guarding, fighting, defending. You fear loss. You see others as threats. But when you operate from creation, your energy expands. You look for opportunities. You bring new value into the world. You focus on service, innovation, and vision. You don't try to take what others have. You build something that didn't exist before. Wattles argues that the competitive mindset actually cuts you off from wealth. Why? Because it aligns you with lack, not abundance. It reinforces the belief that there's not enough, and that belief shapes your actions, making you grasp, hide, hoard, and mistrust. But the creative mindset aligns you with the truth that wealth is infinite in possibility, that the universe responds to contribution, and that when you create something useful, you're always rewarded. Wattles writes, "You can get what you want, and you can cause others to have what they want as well." This isn't just positive thinking, it's the science of expansion. In practical terms, here's what this means. Don't copy, create. You can learn from others, but your wealth comes from your own expression. Don't fear competition, outgrow it. Build a life so rooted in your vision that comparison feels irrelevant. Don't hoard knowledge or resources, circulate them. The more you give, the more space you make for return. The creative mindset is about adding more to the world than you take. And when you do that, money follows, because money is simply a tool of exchange, and people exchange money for things they value. This lesson also explains why resentment toward the wealthy is so destructive. If you believe rich people are greedy, corrupt, or lucky, you'll unconsciously resist becoming one. You can't move toward what you judge. Wattles urges you to bless wealth wherever you see it, not with blind admiration, but with understanding. He writes, "You cannot become rich by taking the wealth of others. You must become rich by creating wealth for yourself." That means focusing on your gifts, your work, your service. So how do you start creating instead of competing? Focus on value, not speed. Don't rush to beat others. Focus on doing your work well. Focus on service, not attention. Don't seek fame. Seek to make something that helps. Focus on growth, not comparison. You don't have to be better than others. You only need to become better than you were yesterday. Wattles believed that every person has something unique to offer the world, and that riches come as a reward for bringing that uniqueness forward, not for trying to win the race. Even in business, the most successful people are not necessarily the most aggressive. They're the most generous, the most focused, the most creative. When you embrace the creative mindset, you realize there's no shortage, there's no need to take, there's only a need to contribute. The path to wealth is not through fighting, it's through building. And the more you build, the more the universe supports your expansion. Recap: compete less, create more. The universe is not limited, it's abundant. Wealth is not taken, it's created. Others are not your competition, they are your reminder that wealth is possible. The more value you offer, the more wealth you attract. This is one of Wattles' greatest contributions to prosperity thinking, and it's what separates true wealth building from short-term tactics. In our final chapter, we'll tie it all together. We'll talk about the real reason for becoming rich, how to ground these lessons in daily life, and how to build a legacy rooted in service, not just success. Let's move to the conclusion: becoming rich for the right reasons. So now you've heard the principles, the science, behind getting rich. Not a motivational speech, not a get-rich-quick scheme, a framework based on timeless, universal truth. And what's most remarkable, none of it is about luck, inheritance, or privilege. It's about how you think, how you act, and how you persist. Wallace D. Wattles closes his book with a simple, powerful idea. Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains. It is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. But he doesn't mean rich in the shallow show-off sense. He means rich in capacity, rich in resources, in options, in freedom, and in the ability to give and create without limitation. Wealth is not the goal. It's the result of aligned thought, purposeful action, and unwavering faith. And once you're rich, truly rich, you're able to do the real work. Support your family without stress. Contribute to the causes you believe in. Build what only you can build. Live with full expression, not constant constraint. You don't need to feel guilty about wanting more. You just need to build it for the right reasons and in the right way. So here's how you continue this journey. Think clearly about what you want. Define your vision. Hold it in your mind with gratitude and confidence. Act daily with efficiency and presence. Trust that the laws are working, even when you can't yet see results. Persist without drama, without rush, without excuse. Create, don't compete. Serve, don't strive. And above all, stay faithful to your vision, not your fear. The Science of Getting Rich isn't just a book. It's a way of life, and it's available to you starting now.